The Clockmaker's Secret, Part 1. The train of moments in the sleepy town of Hollowford. Most people hurried past the crooked little shop at the end of Lantern Street without even noticing it. The shop had no bright lights, no cheerful sign. Only a wooden door and a window full of clocks, all ticking in strange, uneven rhythms. Some said the shop had always been there. Others swore it appeared only when you needed it most. Inside lived Mr. Aurelius, the old clockmaker. His silver hair curled around his shoulders, and his workshop smelled of oil, wood, and something like starlight. His clocks were not ordinary. They didn't just mark seconds and minutes. They whispered of forgotten dreams, hidden choices, and moments yet to come. One stormy afternoon, a girl named Clara Wren pushed open the creaking door. Clara was 12, with bright, curious eyes and muddy boots from running through the rain. She had always loved mysteries. Books with secret codes, maps with hidden X's, and puzzles that twisted her mind. And this shop, it felt like stepping into a puzzle. "Good evening," she said softly, though the sound was nearly drowned by the ticking of hundreds of clocks. Aurelius lifted his head. His smile was kind but full of secrets. "Ah," he said, "you arrived right on time." He reached beneath his desk and pulled out a golden pocket watch. Clara gasped. It shimmered as if the night sky itself had been locked inside. Tiny sparks of light drifted across the glass face. But it had no hands, no numbers. "How can it tell time?" Clara asked. "It doesn't measure the time you live in," Aurelius replied. His voice was low, almost like a spell. "It measures the time you need." Before Clara could answer, the watch pulsed with light. The floor shook. The walls stretched. The air turned to smoke and steam, until the shop dissolved around her. Clara staggered, blinking, and when her eyes cleared, she was no longer in Hollowford. She was standing in a magnificent train station. Golden lanterns swung above. The marble floor gleamed like water. People in every kind of clothing rushed past. Victorian ladies in velvet gowns, soldiers in shining armor, astronauts in silver suits, merchants with heavy bags, and children carrying glowing kites. Every clock on the walls ticked differently, as if each belonged to a separate world. Above her, a giant sign glowed, "The train of moments, departing soon." Clara clutched the watch to her chest. A tall guard with eyes like polished silver leaned down to her. "This is no ordinary train," he said. "It does not carry you to places, but to moments. One ticket, one journey, past or future. It is yours to choose." Her heart pounded. She thought of her grandmother, who had told her bedtime stories until the day she passed away. She thought of her father, a sailor who had gone missing in a storm 2 years ago, never to return. She thought of her future, her dreams of becoming an explorer, traveling the world beyond Hollowford. The whistle blew. Steam hissed. The golden locomotive gleamed like fire. Passengers hurried aboard, each clutching their own strange ticket. Clara stood frozen. Which moment would she choose? She raised the pocket watch. At once, it flickered with 3 glowing symbols. A rose, her grandmother's garden. A ship's sailboat, her father's voyage. A compass, her own unknown future. Her hand trembled. "What if I choose wrong?" she whispered. The guard tilted his head. "Child, there are no wrong choices, only different stories." The whistle screamed again. Final call. Clara's heart raced. She stepped forward, clutching the golden watch, and whispered, "I choose." And in that instant, the world blurred, the platform dissolved, and Clara's real journey began. The Clockmaker's Secret, Part 2. The storm of memories, the whistle screamed, long and haunting, as the train of moments shuddered to life. Steam coiled around Clara's boots, and the golden locomotive glowed brighter with every heartbeat. She stared at the pocket watch in her hand, the 3 symbols still pulsing. The rose, the ship, the compass. Her fingers brushed over the ship. A surge of warmth spread through her chest, and before she could second-guess herself, the symbol burst into light. The next instant, Clara was pulled forward, like falling into a dream. The platform, the station, the passengers, all vanished. She opened her eyes and gasped. She was standing on the deck of a great ship, sails straining against a furious storm. The sky was black, split open by lightning. Waves towered higher than houses, crashing against the vessel with terrifying force. Men shouted, ropes snapped, and would groaned as though the sea itself was trying to swallow the ship whole. Clara stumbled, clutching the rail. Salt stung her face. Her heart raced. And then, through the rain, she saw him, her father. He was older than she remembered. His beard tangled, his hands rough from years of sea. But his eyes, those kind, storm-gray eyes, were the same. He was shouting orders, pulling ropes, refusing to surrender to the ocean's rage. "Papa!" Clara cried, but the storm devoured her voice. She pushed forward, fighting the rain, slipping on the slick deck. The golden pocket watch glowed in her palm, guiding her like a lantern. Suddenly, her father turned. His eyes locked on hers. For a heartbeat, the storm seemed to pause. "Clara!" His voice cracked, not from the wind, but from disbelief. Before she could answer, a monstrous wave struck. The ship lurched. Clara was thrown against the mast, clutching it desperately. Her father was tossed to the rail, one slip away from being lost to the sea. "No!" Clara screamed. The pocket watch burned brighter, its light slicing through the storm. She felt something stir inside her. Not fear, but power. The watch hummed with her heartbeat, and suddenly time slowed. The raindrops froze in the air. The thunder rolled like a whisper. She had a choice. She could leap forward, grab her father's hand, and pull him back. Or she could stay still and let the storm take its course, because deep down she knew. This was not just a moment from the past. It was his moment, his fate. Tears blurred her vision. "What do I do?" she whispered. Then she heard Mr. Aurelius's voice echoing, as if carried on the wind. "Moments cannot always be changed, Clara, but they can always be understood." Her father's hand stretched out, trembling. His eyes were full of pride, not fear. He wasn't asking to be saved. He was saying goodbye. The golden light swelled, wrapping Clara in warmth. She felt his love, his strength. His courage pour into her like the sea itself was whispering secrets. And then time released. The wave crashed. The storm roared, and her father was gone. Clara collapsed to her knees, sobbing. But the watch glowed gently, no longer burning, no longer frantic. Its face shimmered with a new symbol, a star, bright and steady. The storm dissolved into mist. The deck faded beneath her. Clara felt herself being lifted, carried away. When her eyes opened again, she was back inside the golden train carriage. Velvet seats, glowing lanterns, and the soft hum of wheels on invisible tracks. Other passengers sat silently, clutching their own tokens, their own secrets. Clara stared down at the pocket watch. The star pulsed calmly, like a heartbeat. She wiped her tears, breathing deeply. She hadn't saved her father, but she had understood him, and somehow she felt stronger. The guard with silver eyes passed by her seat and stopped. "First journey?" he asked gently. Clara nodded. He tipped his hat. "Then remember this. Every moment teaches you something. The more you learn, the more doors will open." Outside the window, Clara saw not landscapes but endless skies filled with doors, floating, glowing, waiting to be chosen. Some were ancient wooden doors, others futuristic steel, others carved with strange runes. Each one shimmered with possibility. The train slowed. A bell chimed. The pocket watch pulsed again, and the symbols reshaped. A rose still glowed softly. A compass now burned brighter than before, and the new star sparkles blinked with promise. Another choice. Another journey. Clara sat up straighter, her heart no longer trembling with fear but burning with determination. She whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." The whistle blew. The doors slid open, and the train of moments carried her toward her next adventure. The Clockmaker's Secret, Part 3. The compass of tomorrow. The golden train cut silently through the night sky, wheels humming on tracks made of starlight. Clara held the pocket watch tightly, its surface warm in her palm. 3 symbols glowed: the rose, the star, and the compass. Her eyes lingered on the compass. Unlike the others, it didn't just glow. It pulsed, like it was alive, pointing somewhere beyond the horizon. Her hand trembled. If I choose this, what will I see? The silver-eyed guard appeared at her side, as though summoned by her thoughts. The compass doesn't lead backward, child, he murmured. It shows what might come to pass. But remember, futures are fragile. What you see can shape you, or it can destroy you. Clara swallowed hard, and then, with a deep breath, she pressed the compass. The train lurched, reality flickered, and the world dissolved into light. When her eyes opened, Clara was no longer on the train. She stood in a dazzling city of glass and gold. Towers pierced the clouds, airships floated lazily overhead, and glowing bridges arched across the sky. People bustled in shimmering clothes, their faces lit with joy and purpose. It was breathtaking. For a moment, Clara simply stared. This could be the future? Then, among the crowd, she saw a familiar figure. A woman with long auburn hair, walking confidently through the streets. Clara's heart stopped. It was herself. Older, stronger, dressed in a crisp jacket, her eyes full of fire. She laughed with strangers, spoke words Clara couldn't quite hear, and every person around her looked inspired. As if her voice alone gave them hope. Clara's chest swelled with pride. That's me, one day. I can be her. But then the sky darkened. A low rumble shook the glass towers. The golden bridges flickered, crumbling into shadows. People screamed as a monstrous crack split the sky, spilling black smoke that twisted into clawed shapes. Future Clara didn't run. She climbed atop a crumbling pillar, holding aloft a golden light that poured from her hands. Her voice rang out, clear and steady. Stand together. Do not give in. The shadow beasts hissed, recoiling, but they did not retreat. They swarmed closer, hungrier, stronger. Clara, watching from the street, felt her knees buckle. She's fighting them alone. The compass in her hand blazed, and suddenly Clara understood. This wasn't just a possible future. This was a test. If she stayed small, afraid, clinging to excuses, this future might never come. But if she grew, if she learned, if she embraced her power, this woman she saw could truly exist. Her older self turned suddenly, eyes locking with Clara's. You're watching, aren't you? She said, though her lips barely moved. Then listen carefully. The chaos froze, time halting as if the universe itself leaned closer. You are not weak. You were never weak. The shadows are fear, doubt, regret, your own, and the world's. They will come. They always come. But you have a choice. To hide or to rise. Clara's throat tightened. She clutched the compass so hard it burned. I don't know if I can. Older Clara smiled softly. Then promise me this. When the storm comes, don't run. Stand. Shine. Someone will follow your light. And then another. And another. Until the shadows are gone. The world shuddered. The smoke roared. The vision cracked like shattered glass. Clara snapped awake inside the train carriage, gasping. The pocket watch was scorching hot. She opened her palm. The compass symbol had changed. It now bore not one needle, but 3, pointing in different directions, glowing with paths yet to be chosen. The silver-eyed guard was waiting at her side. His voice was low, almost reverent. So, you've seen her. Clara nodded slowly, tears stinging her eyes. She's me. Or, she could be. The guard tipped his hat. Then you already know the truth. The future is not given. It is built. Outside the window, the endless sky of doors still stretched on. But now, beyond them, Clara could see something more. Shadows gathering, restless and waiting. Her heart pounded. But for the first time, it wasn't just fear she felt. It was resolve. She whispered to herself, I will rise. The train's whistle echoed like thunder, and the journey of moments thundered forward, carrying Clara toward her next choice. The Clockmaker's Secret Part 4. The door of shadows, the train thundered across an endless ocean of stars. Clara sat alone in her seat, her fingers brushing the pocket watch. The compass on its face glowed faintly, but now there was something new. A fourth symbol had appeared. A door. Not golden, not silver, but black. It pulsed with a strange, heavy light, as though daring her to touch it. Clara shivered. She remembered the words of her older self. The shadows are fear, doubt, regret. They always come. The silver-eyed guard appeared at her side once more, his voice grave. The door of shadows calls you. Few passengers choose it. Fewer return unchanged. Clara whispered. What's behind it? The guard tilted his head. Not the past. Not the future. It is the place between, the truth you hide from yourself. Her chest tightened. Every instinct screamed to look away. And yet her hand rose. With trembling fingers, she pressed the symbol. The train screeched, sparks flying, and the world dissolved into darkness. Clara opened her eyes to find herself standing in a vast cavern. The air was damp, cold, and heavy. Walls of black stone rose around her, slick with shadows that twisted like living smoke. The only light came from the pocket watch, glowing faintly in her hand. Then, she heard it, her own voice. You'll never be enough. Clara spun around. Out of the shadows stepped herself. But twisted. Her hair hung in messy strands, her eyes hollow, her mouth curled into a cruel sneer. You think you can be her? That woman who shines? Don't be ridiculous. You'll fail. Like you always do. Clara's knees weakened. This is me. But wrong. No. It's the part of me I try to bury. The twisted version circled her, whispering venom. You're not smart enough, not strong enough. Everyone you love will leave. Your dreams? They'll crumble just like you. The shadows on the walls stirred, growing faces, echoing the words. Not enough, not enough, not enough. Clara pressed the watch to her chest, tears stinging her eyes. Stop, please stop. But the shadows only laughed. They lunged, wrapping around her wrists, her throat, her heart. Suddenly, a memory flickered. Her mother's tired but gentle smile, her father's rough hands lifting her when she stumbled as a child. The people who loved her, who had always believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. Her older self's words rang again. The shadows are fear, doubt, regret. They will come. But you have a choice, to hide or to rise. Clara clenched her fists. The watch blazed with golden fire. No, she whispered. I am not nothing. I am not weak. I am more than my fears. The twisted Clara hissed, recoiling. Lies. Clara stepped forward, light pouring from her chest. I am enough. I am growing. I will rise. The cavern shook. The shadows screamed as light burst from the watch, filling every crack, every corner. Her twisted reflection shattered like glass, splintering into nothing. When the light faded, Clara stood alone. The cavern was gone. The train awaited her, glowing warmly as though it had always been there. She stumbled back into her seat, breathless. The guard tipped his hat solemnly. You faced the door of shadows and lived. Few ever do. Clara looked down at the watch. The black door symbol had vanished. In its place was a blazing sun, radiant and unstoppable. For the first time, Clara didn't feel like a frightened passenger. She felt ready, outside. The train's windows no longer showed endless doors. Instead, a distant horizon shimmered with dawn. The journey of moments was far from over. But Clara knew now, whatever awaited her, past, future, or shadow, she would meet it with light. The Clockmaker's Secret Part 5. The final stop. The train slowed. For the first time since Clara had boarded, the sound of its wheels softened, almost hesitant. Outside the windows, she no longer saw infinite doors. Instead, a single station loomed ahead. It was vast, carved from marble and glowing with starlight. Pillars rose into the heavens, supporting a ceiling that seemed to be made of constellations themselves. The sign above the platform shimmered with golden letters. The last choice. The passengers whispered nervously. Some clutched their tickets. Others pressed their faces to the glass. Wide-eyed and afraid, Clara held the pocket watch. The blazing sun on its face pulsed. As though alive, the silver-eyed guard appeared at her side again. His expression was softer than ever before. This is the final stop. Every traveler who reaches here must decide. Return or go beyond. Beyond? Clara asked. He nodded slowly. A place even I cannot describe. Path unwritten. To step off here is to live your life with the strength you found. To continue is to leave behind everything, even yourself. Clara's chest tightened. Leave behind everything. The train hissed to a halt. The doors opened. Passengers filed out onto the glowing platform. Some vanished instantly in beams of light, smiling as though reunited with long-lost joy. Others collapsed in despair, clutching shadows they refused to release. Clara stepped onto the platform. Her shoes clicked softly against the marble. The ceiling of stars shifted, forming two arches before her. Point one shimmered with golden daylight, showing fleeting images of her future. Friends laughing with her, challenges she'd face, victories she'd earn. It was imperfect, but it was real. The other was pure white, blinding, a vast unknown. No images, no promises. Only silence, as though daring her to leap into the void. The watch in her hand grew hot, ticking faster and faster. The guard's voice echoed behind her. Choose carefully, Clara. Once you step through, there is no return. Her heart pounded. She thought of everything she had faced. The golden ticket that led her here. The doors of memory, where she saw her childhood. The doors of futures, where she glimpsed her own strength. The door of shadows, where she defeated her greatest fear. Every step had changed her. Every challenge had forged her into someone new. Clara whispered to herself, "Do I dare throw it all away for the unknown?" And then, faintly, she heard her own older voice, clear, certain. "You are not here to escape life. You are here to choose how to live it." Tears welled in her eyes. She raised the watch high. The golden arch flared, filling with warmth. "I choose life," she said firmly. "Not perfection, not certainty, just life." The white arch flickered and dissolved into nothing. The golden arch stretched wide, becoming a brilliant sunrise. Light poured across the station, filling every shadow, every corner. The passengers cheered, their voices like a symphony. Clara stepped forward, the watch glowing so brightly it almost melted in her hand. And as she passed through the golden arch, the train behind her let out a final whistle. Long, mournful, proud. When she opened her eyes, Clara was no longer on the train. She was standing in her tiny apartment, sunlight spilling through the window. The pocket watch lay in her palm, silent and still, but warm, as though alive. The world hadn't changed, but she had. She smiled, whispered to herself, and tucked the watch into her pocket. Time to live. Epilogue. The clockmaker waits far from Clara's apartment. In a workshop that existed both inside time and outside of it, the clockmaker polished a row of pocket watches. Each watch ticked with a rhythm unique to its owner, glowing softly with golden light. Point one of the watches, the one that had belonged to Clara, faded into silence. The clockmaker paused, listening. Then he smiled. "She chose," he murmured, setting the silent watch gently into a wooden drawer. "And she chose well." From the shadows of the workshop, shelves stretched into infinity. Thousands of watches gleamed, ticking in harmony. Yet some ticked louder than others, as though restless, waiting. The clockmaker adjusted his spectacles and pulled out a fresh strip of golden paper. With careful, deliberate strokes, he wrote a name upon it. Not Clara's. Someone knew that a new golden train ticket shimmered in his hand, its edges glowing brighter with every heartbeat. The clockmaker tucked it into an envelope, sealed it with wax, and whispered, almost playfully, "Another journey begins." Somewhere, in a small town, in a quiet house, a child stirred awake in the middle of the night, hearing the distant whistle of a train.